Everybody, Brady from BGWX. We are live here breaking down the upcoming snowstorms here over the next week or so, I should say. There's a lot to talk about. There's one tomorrow coming to the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, and then we have another one coming Thursday, Friday, and then another one coming Sunday, Monday. So come on in. It's going to be fun. We're going to break this all down. Let's have some fun here. Let's have some fun. How we doing, everybody? How we doing? Just getting set up here, and we'll get going here in a second. All right, let's pull up the chat here. Chris Z, how are we doing? Where's everybody from right now? Let me know. Getting set up here. How are we doing? All right, let's get X chat going. All right. South Shore, Long Island special. Central Jersey, yes, love it. All righty. Not a big dubstep, but loving the. We're going to always no copyright. We are not going to get copyrighted here on YouTube, so that's how we're always going to start. All right. Long Island, yeah, Long Island definitely in play here tomorrow for sure. Long Island, after all the frustration, seems like Long Island's going to be in a couple storms in a row now, and that's going to help maybe make the winter there. Let's see. Queens, shout out New York City. Yep, New York City's definitely in play here. This upcoming one, we're going to talk about that. All right. Yeah, where we all at? Where are we all from here? Let us know where you're representing. All right, let's get our pen tool. Yeah, 2022, the last time Long Island had a double-digit winter, and been a couple winters. Point Pleasant, 6 inches. Oh, crap, where is Point Pleasant again? Is that like right above New York City? Frederick, Maryland, shout out. Point Pleasant. That's Jersey, not New York. Oh, you're coastal Jersey, way down there. Oh, you're not even. I don't know. Point Pleasant. I'm gonna go with last couple storms. I've actually forecasted a few days out, better than I have than the day before the storm. So what I'm gonna go with here, and what and it's just getting too caught up in like assuming that as you get closer, the models are getting a better idea, and that hasn't necessarily been the case. So I'm gonna really listen. I'm kind of just gonna go with I'm gonna base it just. I'm gonna try to dismiss all the model noise upcoming here as much as I can, and I'm just gonna trust my gut upcoming here with my meteorology gut, not my weather gut here. But so I got some stuff to break down. There's still a little bit more I want to actually look at myself on stream here, um, but before we fully dive in. But it is definitely a tricky pattern. As you can see, there's windshield wipe going on for this weekend right now, and there's just Thursday's a tricky one as well. I mean, look at that. That's messy. It's all going to be messy, messy, messy here. It's always nice to see snow when you already have snow on the ground. Absolutely. This is going to be a good opportunity here. It's not going to get too warm. Other than like the rain sometimes you get from if you're in the storm track after you snowed or something, or if you mixed, whatever. That's really the only time it's going to melt too much here. Other than that, you're going to be able to have snow on the ground for a little bit, especially, New York City, Long Island that just saw snow, and then also going to see snow right after this. That's going to be an opportunity to really get that snow depth going. So good opportunity here upcoming from I think I had about 5 inches of snow depth right now, just about, maybe just above. So get a decent highest snow depth of the season I've had is 6 inches so far this winter. So we've been stacking. We've had many different times where we've had like 3-4 inch snow depths throughout the winter. I personally think it hasn't been that bad of a winter. It actually really hasn't. I mean, New York City, if New York City is able to get 4 or 5 inches, you're going to be like about average again. So like just like that, all of a sudden in Long Island as well. So Mid Atlantic is going to have a chance. Mid Atlantic now is set for the winter. Now you're going to finish at least average, above average. There's an after tomorrow. So a lot of DC specifically. So it's going to work out there. Philly's really the only place that really has kind of gotten not too well this winter. And even then, you still had some snow, so it's not you haven't got completely shafted. So you're in that like Philly line where you just kind of gotten a little unfortunate. Yeah. I mean, listen though, I haven't even listen up here in southern New England. My biggest storm has been 6.8, so it's not like we're not. It's not like I've gotten, this past storm. I had to watch a 700 band go right to my north and 850 go right to my south. So it was like a little. I was like, ah, man, come on. To my north there was a foot of snow, and to my south was the best banding. So we still got like 5 inches of snow at the end of the day, but we're stacking up. We're stacking up here the seasonal. I think it's been a decent winter. We've had some really good light snow events that have stacked up well. So I can't complain too much, at least personally. And I think many after February will say the same. So yeah. All right, let's get cooking here again. Hit that like if you're on YouTube, if you're on X. Just appreciate you being here. Don't worry. Appreciate everybody on YouTube as well being here. But yeah, let me know where you're from as well. So where are we all from? We would, as good as winters have been, we have definitely not had consistent foot storms consistently. I know that for sure. We maybe get one a winter, but we're not like that. That was also the golden age, so people got to lower the expectations a little bit. But yeah, all right, let's get into it here. So with tomorrow, I'm actually going to go to tidbits because Weather Bell doesn't actually show. And I'm going to go to the NAM. And I don't really care too much about the P-type map, so to say, but all right. Here's what I want to highlight. So I'll go to 850 first. So tomorrow we're coming in. Fine, show 500 first. So again, strung out upper level energy along here, and it's just going to ride right along. So you have this ridge to the south here, pumping up moisture. You got cold air up here. You can see your 5 your 540 line right here over New England. So you got your cold air getting out ahead, and that's going to help supply. That's going to help supply the necessary thermodynamics in place to help create an area, multiple areas of heavy snow in here. Okay, so that's kind of the upper level setup here. Like we've alluded to some down the line here. Originally, this looked like maybe like 5 days ago. This not only would have been further north, but just a bigger event in general. Still going to be a significant event here. But if we go to seven, we go to no, go to 850 again. What you got going here is we take a look at our 850 F-gen banding here. So this is front of Genesis basically. Where is it? My pen tool drawing. Oh, it is. It's just very small. Okay. So all this means here, this is where our best dynamics are going to be, right in here. So just to the north is where you're going to look for 850 to kind of consolidate. We're not stacking 850 and 700 here. Again, we're looking above the atmosphere. So, it's your surface, and then just above is 850, and then you go a little bit higher, 700, you go a little bit higher, 500, right? And we're looking at our vertical column in the atmosphere. And so that's the idea here. There's dynamics consolidate, and just to the north here, and just along and just to the north here, you're going to see 850 kind of rip here. So DC maybe just south of DC, along by DC just to the north, there could be it could be ripping potentially 3/4 inch to inch and a half per hour rates of snow here. Take a look at sounding. Oh, it's NAM 12K. See, that's actually sleet. So let me go a little bit further north. That's even sleet too. Looks like DC Metro might have to deal with some sleet, maybe. All right, here we go. So as you can see here, pretty well saturated. Saturation is not going to be as big as a problem, even though not fully saturated. Here's your dendritic growth zone here. Top of the dendritic growth zone is a little warmer than you prefer, just about 470. But once we get down a little bit lower, you can see we actually do drop to the bottom here around 600, and then you have a warm nose right around 750, 800. And it's going to be creep close. So some people in around the DC Metro may have to worry about some mixing. And it's really going to be just to the north of that sleet line. This is about as full screen as I can get, kind of. It's hard for me to see the screen as well if it just the way it's see, like I can't counter. It's a little bit harder though. I have to zoom out one. Sorry. There we go. That's fine. And then so you can see it on radar. Reflectivity showing it. You see just to the north of that 850 best dynamics here. That's where you're gonna thump heavy snow. Take a look here. You see that -1 omega, 31 here at the surface, and you can see again pretty well saturated. Not as greatly saturated as I would prefer at the top of the dendritic growth zone, but still a dew point depression. That's within a couple of degrees, so that's not too significant there. It's well saturated. You're thumping heavy snow here, probably, if I had to say, close to inch per hour rates at that point. And again, you can see PA still snowing. It's not going to be significant, but we're talking a moderate snow to the north here, across probably even into southeastern central PA. And then what we also get here though is here's then 700. This is where things start to get interesting for places further north. Shout out Staten Island, New York. You made out quite well with the last storm. At least a few inches down there. I think it was like 3 to 5 New York City Metro, which is awesome. And this is when I start creeping in now. Later tomorrow night, then we start seeing what happens here at 700. 700 dynamics start consolidating here, and look what happens. 700 dynamics start consolidating, and this is why I think even to the north here, I don't think we're talking this far. I think especially if we were to see a further north solution like we have here on the NAM, This would allow places, you always look just to the north, and oftentimes they can set up even further north than depicted. So this is what has me very intrigued for places across central Jersey, New York City, Long Island, and even southern Connecticut, southern Rhode Island, especially the islands here of southeastern Massachusetts. Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket could end up getting thumped on tomorrow night as well. Brooklyn, yeah, we'll talk. We're talking about it right now. We're breaking it down. Um, and so with this is where again we talk about, just like last storm, it's a little bit different. It's different setup, but remember you had your 850 setup here, so you thumped here across New York City, Long Island, Jersey, into coastal southern New England, and then 700 kind of got displaced to the north as well. So you saw up here to the north of the Capital District and down here across central Vermont, southeastern New Hampshire, into southeastern Maine, you saw 8 to 12 inches of snow out there to the north here. Now, again, different setup. So I'm not talking, may not be talking about 8 to 12 necessarily, but look what happens here at 700. And, really the problem is to the north is you're not really able to consolidate too well. And you can see here, you're just not going to be good enough, well enough saturated at this point. You can see trying to snow further to the north here. In fact, actually, can see here, it's not necessarily it's not necessary to be saturated up here, but you can see almost snow. And so maybe some flakes are possible further to the north tomorrow. It'll depend on how well saturated we can get at the lower levels, because look at your dendritic growth zone here. This is where your DGZ is happening. So it's technically possible maybe, but you can see here, this dry gap here, this what kind of breaks up the flakes, and maybe it's only just a few flurries. But so possibly further to the east, maybe even as far as to Boston, you could theoretically have a chance for some flakes tomorrow. I'd keep an eye on that. But look what we get here further to the south here, even to coastal southeastern New England. This is snow right here, and this is a moderate snow as well. This is not anything to kind of look at as poo poo. So this is definitely an opportunity here for even into coastal southern New England here. As we start looking, we talking about New Haven, maybe even into Fairfield potentially. We start looking at somewhere like Darien, Danbury, maybe even. But again, I would prefer and this is what I'm talking about here. 700 dynamics start setting up. We start seeing 700. The better consolidated 700 gets to, no, I will say the greater the subsidence area to the south. But look what happens here. Look at our 700 banding getting going here. Just to the north here. Come on, draw. You can do it. There we go. Just to the north here. That's where you could be thumping snow potentially. And we wouldn't be talking about we'd be talking about inch plus per hour rates here, for example. I mean, a very good opportunity here to be seeing some significant. Looks like hold up. Sorry, I thought it was almost a couple more frames. See how it's getting together there, and then look what starts happening for a Long Island example. Look at this. This is the borderline heavy snow right here. Pretty well saturated here throughout the dendritic growth zone. Small dew point depression here at the top, and then well saturated here. Warm nose not a concern whatsoever. And your dendritic growth zone actually below 500. So you may even be above 10-to-1 ratios potentially as well there on Long Island, because the warm nose not too prevalent. And you get about -1 omega, especially in the lower levels here of the DGZ as well, down to about -10. There's some pretty solid lift there present. So this is what's making me pretty intrigued here about how this might set up. Look at it. Different model. What other model takes soundings here? FV3. I'm sorry, I'm not a big FV3, but it takes some soundings at least. There we go. All right. You can even see here, this isn't the greatest model, but again, showing that, -1 omega, well saturated, DGZ in a pretty classic spot, right around just below 500 to just below 600. So there's an opportunity here for, I'm really liking Long Island here for potential where the 700 dynamics consolidate. Remember, it's still a little bit of a progressive flow here, so it's going to be hard for this to drive so far north. But what I think is it gets north and then kind of pivots out east. And so this allows maybe several hours of heavy snowfall rates somewhere. I think I'm leaning a little bit north here. I'm gonna lean here kind of in this area here, and then moderate snow kind of extends out just off of this to the north here. That's kind of where I'm leaning right now. So you have your double maxima here, and then in between, unfortunately, I would expect a subsidence. And in fact, I think I'm gonna make a snowfall map. Sorry, DC. You might have to wait till next winter till I put you put you in my snow map. But I will be forecasting a subsidence zone specifically where it would maybe be like a 3 to 6 to the north, a 4 to 8 to the south, and then in between like a 2 to 4. It's not going to be a widespread area, and I'm going to specifically forecast that this time rather than kind of the models really like to smooth it out kind of on the snowfall maps. I worry that that may not be the case. So I do worry about kind of a screw zone, and not necessarily. You're still going to snow well. It's just the best dynamics consolidate further to the north and further to the south. Again, somewhere there has to be sinking air, and I think I do worry. Right now, I'm leaning Philly-ish, maybe northeastern Maryland as well. It's hard to pinpoint specifically. This is kind of where I'm leaning right now, where 850 sets up to the south, 700 sets up to the north. And that's where I'm leaning. So I apologize. Yes, Chris, I'm sorry I put you in the zone, but I will be, it doesn't mean you're not, it doesn't mean like I don't think you're going to bust necessarily in terms of not being able to get still decent snowfall because we're not going to get so consolidated. We're not talking about a full on death band necessarily, like full on, like we're not, seeing a band come in, pivot and like, in between it's crazy subsidence. Again, we're still have a pretty good moisture flow here from the south, and we're not so ridiculously cold to press, so much to consolidate here. So I think there's going to be an opportunity for banding to extend off 700 to the north and off 850 to the north as well. So you're still going to be able to get snow here and here potentially, and favoring further north the further south and east you go due to the way the precip is going to start getting sheared out necessarily to the east is the best way to, maybe not the best way, but the way I'm going to put it is where you see that precip shield build north and east until it pulls out. And that's why I think maybe Cape Cod, but the islands, specifically Nantucket as well, Block Island, we're talking Montauk, Islip, I always mess that one up, sorry. And then again, these eastern boroughs here, we're talking, Staten Island should be, I think, in an opportunity here. All these little things right along here. And then whether or not the best of the banding is able to get to coastal Connecticut, that could end up being a very, very close call. That could end up being a sharp cutoff. And then just to the north, it will be like a 1 to 3 inches. And then just to the south, I think there's an opportunity for 3 to 6 plus here inches of snow. Same to the south. I think it's going to be like a 4 to 8 is what I'd go with. Maybe some places that can really stick in the best banding for longer can get more snow. It's not really even the the FE3 showing it pretty well is here as well. FE3 showing that same picture. I'm not a big FE3. I was just looking for another model I can take soundings, to be honest. And the HRR is, especially with recent, I'm not a big HRR. I'm struggling to get on that anymore. But I'm just trying to highlight, what guidance is kind of trying to show. Do I get? All right, 700. Yeah, FE3 is showing that too. Look where your 700 ends up setting further to the north. The area of 700 banding here to the north. Not as strong as the NAM, but you can see it highlighting it. Even another area here, and eventually kind of consolidating further offshore to the east. So not quite as much lift, for example, on like the NAM model. But I'll take a see. Not as much lift there. Let's find one. We can go to North Jersey if we have to. There we go. I mean, look at that. Yeah, north. I mean, we're talking right here, just south of the city here. Just south of the city. Take a look here. Over -1 omega, well saturated, down around just above 10-to-1 ratios. You're thumping. That's heavy. That's straight up. That'd be straight up heavy snow. So yeah, I don't know. It's not loading out all the way yet. So 060 doesn't come out for a couple hours, and I'm on tough. I'm on tough. I'm on having trouble with the meso guidance. They're preset maps anyways right now. So I really just want to be able to take soundings. Even here, high res RGM's kind of showing that. It's kind of displaced. This is all, I don't know what to really make of the P-type map, but the idea of banding setting up further north here, and then your best 850 further to the south. And that's where it's going to focus. So again, probably around just above 10-to-1 ratios. If you're able to get into the best banding, it could be a little bit higher, because remember, lift is also subsequently important, as along with how cold you are in the column as well. And it should be around 500 to 650. So that's, again, that's supportive for at least 10-to-1, maybe even as high as 12-to-1 ratios potentially, especially places that are in the better lift, that will be able to see some of the cams here. What they got? Sharp cutoff, but I don't know what to make of these. So just kind of peeking. Kind of showing it. Let's see here. That's snow. That's snow, and it's not even showing it. That's snow. Now, you're dry here, so you're not well enough saturated to actually accumulate probably, but you are snowing here on this, I will say. You are snowing. So that's why some of these P-type maps can be kind of tricky. So I really do think we're actually going to be able to get at least some flurries up here to the north. I think there's an opportunity here. Maybe we're not going to be well enough saturated, so it's Virga. But I'll kind of go with it. I'll probably end up going coding higher up here, just based on the look here. Again, the difference between you seeing 0 and 0.3 inches is not going to make or break. So if I put you into the coding the 1 like up here and you don't end up seeing anything, or you see a trace and not, whatever. It's just like, or you only see flurries but no accumulation. It's like, I'm trying here, okay? Doing my best. But again, I think this is kind of what I'm going to go. Somewhere like 4 to 8, somewhere in here. I'll probably do like a 2 to 4 in between, and then like a 3 to 6 probably to the north is what I think I'm going to lean right now when I make the map. So that's kind of where my head's at right now. Is there thing in the chat from Alex or something? Is there opportunity? Yes, John, how we doing, my man? Is there opportunity for more? How could you over? Is if 700 comes together, if we organize 700, so something, it would be a little bit closer to the NAM, where if this were to happen, I'm telling you, you wouldn't. I think you would snow all the way up to here. I think you would snow all the way up to here, and you would accumulate snow all the way up to here. Be thumping. You'd be thumping. New York City, Long Island, we'd be talking 3/4 an inch, 1.5 inches per hour rates. That's what we're talking potentially. It'd be for like 3 to 4 hours, and then outside of that, it'd be like light to moderate snow that kind of accumulates. But there's certainly an opportunity here to thump. I mean, we're talking potentially like a 3 to 5 hour window tomorrow night where you could you could thump heavy snow potentially. Better in the nighttime as well to accumulate, so you'll have that going for you as well. Not that sun angle is that big of a concern this time of year, but that's more so like March. But definitely doesn't ever hurt in the nighttime, especially in the city, to be able to accumulate. And HRR is not stuck at 04Z, so only makes it out so far. But so yeah, so those are kind of my thoughts with what questions do we have for tomorrow's storm for whether you want totals, predictions. I kind of just laid it out right there, but what do we got? What do we got? Let's see. How's Reading, PA looking? I forget Reading. Southeastern PA or Eastern PA. PA is a little tricky. I'm really not liking back into Central PA as much, just because. Let's pull it up here. Let's go to regions. I'm just gonna pull up the P-type map just so I can show it. Again, it's still kind of a progressive flow here. It's a fast flow. We're not ramping up a storm system, so it's going to be harder to push back, I think, the banding further north and west. So I think there could be a pretty sharp cutoff to the north and west, and I might model that. I'm gonna lean away from looking at the guidance here with this stuff, and I'm just gonna I like to use some of the models sometimes to get a little bit of a feel when making my snow maps. I'm never gonna base my totals off these for obvious reasons, but I do like to look at it sometimes to get a little bit of a feel. But I'm gonna go full on, just kind of go more strongly with my gut than I have and previously. So that's kind of my concern out here in PA. Now in here, I do worry potentially best 700 dynamics really form along here into the north. So I do worry. I do worry about PA in here not being able to make out too well. So I'm a little torn. On PA right now, but you should be able to get, since you do have a 1034 high to the north. Especially if you are consolidating 700 dynamics better. Now, this is much further to the north and able to get going earlier. Then we're talking places in PA can kind of get initially into it, but indications now is that 700 develops a little later after 850, and so it's somewhere in here to get more into that. So yeah, so those are some PA thoughts right there. Sorry, Philly. You may end up getting into it. I could be wrong. This could end up and New York City might get shafted. Even if you do, I think you still get moderate snow, and you're able to get like code 2 inches in New York City. But maybe you're lucky, and the best 700 sets up north, best 850 sets up to the south here. This kind of slides off. Now it would probably end up being a little bit weaker, so we'd be maybe talking more 4 to 6-ish, but rather than 3 to 6, 4 to 7 up here. But that's kind of where my head's at right now. So what other questions we got? You think other short-term guidance picks up on the NAM? I don't know. Short-term guidance, I got problems. I got problems with all guidance right now. What the meso guidance did last one was flat out embarrassing. Now, again, it's on me. It's my job to be able to pinpoint that. And if I just went originally, notice a lot of times on those I wasn't drawing the Berks. on a lot of those maps I was showing, and I would kind of extend it out. Well, they had the elevation, and I should have just went with it based on what I was seeing. And if I drew a subsidence zone for the Berks there, could have worked out a lot. Would have looked forecast would have looked a lot better. I'll have the snow map grade out too. It's actually my snow map grade is not going to be too bad for the last storm. Again, I had more 4 to 8ish down here. I just had the 5 to 10 kind of widespread, and it verified very well to the north. Very well it verified up here. And even some places down here too. It's like a fringe 4.5, like 5 inches for a lot of people. And here, it was kind of like here where the best totals were. But right here, this was a bunch of like 2 to 5 basically, all in here. So I don't know. I did pull up, I did account for that. So you can see my subsidence zone I had here for the last system, right in the valley. So I highlighted it, but should have highlighted this whole region for subsidence, and then that would have definitely looked a little bit better. But we didn't forecast here properly for sure. We did forecast. We did great in Long Island. We did New York City, Long Island. We did fantastic forecasting that, which is great. And we did great to the north. So, there's a coating, some sleet and snow down here. So, it the map will get a passing grade, but not a great grade for sure. So, not a complete failure, but not the best at the same time. But luckily, we didn't go with some 8 to 12 in here, and so we didn't go too crazy with totals here to worry about that too much. But what was I going to show you? Here's where my concern is with guidance, short-term guidance right now, with the last system. That was the handling of the primary low in how that played out was just poo-poo. There's no bueno. This was the NAM 18Z NAM 3K for Saturday. So it was like 12 hours out, basically. That's what it was. And it was still too much as it initialized 06E. This is 12 hours apart. This is 12 hours apart. Just not even close. Not even remotely close. Like it's almost a completely different setup. That's not even like close to what it ended up being like. What ended up happening, this ended up being like your initial, basically freaking created your own dry line almost. Not really, but, and you saw banding get out here, and it was more localized banding after the initial. And if you got lucky, you got into them. If you didn't, you missed them. That was the reality. So all of here dry slotted basically, with ended up getting like freezing drizzle, and even up into here, versus this happening like back here. This pulling up moisture into here and all into here, thumping consistently, and then within that maybe even stronger. So that's why it's like this was 12 hours apart as the storm was happening. This is literally towards the end of the storm at this point, and still not great. But I mean, just completely not handling the system well. So that's my grief with short-term guidance right now. Oftentimes, short-term guidance can be pretty effective as it's happening and catching up, at least playing from behind. It couldn't even play from behind here, unfortunately. And that's kind of my gripe with some of this. Again, places made out well, like Gloucester, getting 7 inches to the north. I saw like a bunch of 8s, 9s, 10, 11. I think I even saw like a 13 up there in Maine. So again, the right idea was there for 5 to 10 plus, but just didn't, make out great. But it's not a bad storm here. This was that band that came through. These were probably the best dendrites of the night right here. which is a shame. It was a great heavy snow atmosphere as well. It's a great potential for 1 to 3 inch per hour rates. Didn't quite verify. So that's why short-term guidance is, especially for me right now, not in a. I wasn't. It's not like I was a massive fan of it before, but it's in the doghouse right now. In the doghouse. All right. Point Pleasant thoughts. Like 2 to 5. That's where I lean now. Put you in the probably more substance between the best. You still get in the bannings, but you work as a mediator for basically to the north of 850 and to the south of 700. I don't know. Part of me wants to take a risk and really. Some people wouldn't like it from Philly to sorry, Chris there in Point Pleasant. Really wouldn't like it. What I might even do like a 1 to 3 in that area. Because especially if you're consolidating 850 to the south and 700, I mean, there's got to be sinking area in between. But you're just reality is there isn't. Those aren't. It's not the best conditions to be able to get consistent snow for a while, and it's not a long duration, especially north of DC. It's not a long. It's not too long. It's not much of a long duration event. So that's the tricky part. And then the next setup kind of turns into basically to the next storm. So what's get left behind basically turns into the next storm. Thursday. Do you think New York City could receive one storm? They probably won't pull the trigger. I'm going with low hopes for 3 inches. If I were you, I would keep low expectations right now. I don't think they're going to forecast. You could receive 5+ inches, but I don't think they're going to forecast it explicitly. I doubt they will. I think they're forecasting 2 to 3 right now. I doubt. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to pull the trigger there. All right. Let me get to. All right. Let's talk about Thursday. So Thursday is a little tricky too because strung out area of upper level energy across from the Pacific all the way up to the northeast here and across into the Atlantic. And this gets strung out, but you dropping another trough here, you're digging 500 volt again. You're going to see a little bit of a stream interaction here, and this amplifies early on. And then the question becomes, how much do we press here? You can see we get we'll zoom out a little bit of a of a stretching event here, the polar vortex, a little bit. And so that's deep Arctic cold air in place, and that's kind of going to set the stage. We're going to have that in place out ahead of the storm, and this was likely a front end thump event we're talking about for many, and then a transition to some sort of mixed freezing rain, and the focus of this being more on the northeast than the mid-Atlantic. Although I will say this has a classic CAD potential, so this might be a mixed concern as well for the mid-Atlantic. So, but I will say the focus of this then turns to the northeast, and so you kind of still have what's left over from the previous system. And so what you get here is you got your cold air out in place, and so you're able to get a front-end thump potentially, while the focus of the heavier snow is maybe to the north. And so that's kind of the general idea right now. And the question is, how organized is that front-end thump going to be out ahead? If this out here gets more organized, then we're maybe talking at more than several inches of snow, more specifically north of New York City. and across southern New England. And yes, there's more Chef Kurt will talk about. And so this is why Thursday is pretty intriguing here. I'm actually curious. I wonder what the Jeffs look like. Wonder what the GFS ensembles look like. Actually, I want to look at the Canadian first. So yeah, remember, we're not done yet. This is going to be a great February for a lot of people. It's going to be a great February involving everybody, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, Northern New England. Like it just, I mean, even Midwest is getting involved here. This is gonna turn out to be a great February. And you're already off to a great start here. A lot of people, we had got a little clipper system. We had February, whatever, the second day of February, and then did we have a snow? We had a front end thump. Then it was more sleet than anything else. But then, we had obviously the storm this weekend. So then we have a storm tomorrow, and this is allows places further south to get involved. So really, everybody's kind of getting the love here with this, and obviously, it'd be nice to get that all out blockbuster, but little murky, a little murky. I think there's a decent shot we could have some big storm potential again starting this weekend. Really a stretch here, maybe from like the 15th, 16th to 17th, and then maybe another 20th, 21st. I think there's some big storm potential that I've kind of been alluding to. That was too sexy tone there. Alluding. that's not my style for the weather broadcast. But yes, what I've been alluding to is that we're going to see some potential after this as well. And Canadian has been highlighting. Actually, I'll go to the RGM, matter of fact. Again, highlighting the front end thumb potential here. So we'll RGM, especially GFS, showing it as well. You can take a look here. Again, it's what's left of the boundary here. It's left, again, this whole strung out area of upper level energy, and that kind of is able to get amplified. Not amplified, amplified from the from the trough to the west here. That's, you see those height lines rising, and that's going to get brought north, and so that has to come on through, and there's an opportunity then for a period of maybe even moderate to heavy snow for at least several hours, and you'd be able to accumulate definitely be able to accumulate some snow, and then the brunt of the focus would be to the north here for central and northern New England. That'd be the focus. And obviously, this is the same storm that is going to produce some snow in the Midwest, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, across. And Canada is going to be in a really good spot for this. And yeah, obviously, another place that's probably going to make out pretty well, too, is another transfer system up here in northern New England. That's who's favored to see the most snow out of the system currently. You can see that transfer takes place. Remember, it's not able to just run through the block. And then we turn and we look to another system. This is one of the more active Februaries I can remember in recent memory. Just storm after storm after storm. And here's where things get pretty interesting here. What we've noticed, man, all winter long, regardless of the setup here. Bloody, how we doing? Yeah, we're going to talk about. I'm guessing models did something interesting right after. So we'll look at that. Awesome to have you in here, Bloody. Hope you're doing well. I love how you tag me during the storms. Keep doing that. Keep doing that, please. Also, for anybody on X, please tag me when you're getting your weather reports. I'm telling you, if you get anything interesting, a snow report, it doesn't matter how many. Oftentimes, I'll either like, comment, retweet. I'm going to interact if you send me your storm reports. Almost always, even if I don't like you. No, I'm just kidding. But I will interact. I love to interact with you guys in your storm reports. So always send me those. Apologize if I haven't been responding to DMs. I've been very, very busy. If I have, well, you're special. No, I'm just kidding. But I really haven't been responding to DMs lately, so I do apologize for that. But I've been very, very busy. You can always ask me questions on stream and on comments as well on X. But always send me your storm reports. Tag me. Always love seeing those. So it's always awesome to know that you're willing to tag me. To kind of think about me. You want to see what's happening at your location. Always fun. Anyways, here's the kind of the theme we've been seeing a lot. is models underestimating the press. Jesus, a little bit of a lisp there. Send a sprinkler. Bench warmers. So the cold air to the north here, and so this presses down, and so I'm really having trouble. I know we've seen what models have been doing this weekend. I'm still having trouble. So one of the things here is models are consolidating the upper level energy here in like two different, like kind of stringing it out here for this weekend. Right as of right now, what we're seeing. This is still like 5 days out, so we're not going to get too far. 5 6 days out. Instead of consolidating one upper level low right here. Now, I think this might be some model noise right now. Maybe some model noise, and I think we'll see models come to get a little bit and consolidate a little bit more of upper level energy. Because let me tell you, I've seen some of this is why I'm saying there's still some big potential for this weekend. And you got to keep a close eye on it. Very close eye. Because with how models have been continuing to underestimate how much we actually press on storms, especially with a lobe of the polar vortex that's what in place. I mean, good luck freaking driving something up here into Michigan, like you've seen on some of those. Good luck doing that. And I think what we may end up seeing here is some opportunity here, some opportunity here to watch for this area. I would say northern Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, interior New England, all around here. I think there's a big storm potential this weekend. I think there is a big storm potential, and at a minimum, some front end thumb potential at least, if we were to really try to cut this thing too much. I think there is some pretty big storm potential this weekend. Don't look ahead. I'm telling you, if you go look at the panels and you go look at the different individuals, so remember we have our ensembles, right? And those are oftentimes mean averages we look at. And the GFS, for example, has 30 plus members, the Canadian's like 20, and the Euro has like 50. So when we look at all of those, you got to remember that there's all these different models that have a spread and that help create the mean. There is a good amount of members, you'd be surprised, showing very big hits, very, very big hits for very populated areas. So when you look at this, I'm going to be curious to see what the Jeffs looks like for this weekend again, especially after what it did with the operational. You can see the changes we did here from OZ to 18Z. Take a look how we're pressing much more. Look how models. Look at the trend here. Look what the trend is here. Press, press, press. And the location is key too. The fact you're switching this, it was further northeast and then it was further west, and now it's a little bit further southeast. This lobe here of the TPV here, polar vortex, troposphere, polar vortex, what that stands for. This is trending in a favorable location here to press on this storm, and then you kind of allow an opportunity then. I mean, based on the upper level look, you allow an opportunity in here that's a dynamic, I'm telling you, remember what I've said during the stretch here, with the eastern ridging, the Atlantic ridging you're going to have in place. Anytime, once we start dropping dynamic upper level energy profiles in here, that is when we start talking about, like more blockbuster potential storms. And this is a dynamic upper level look, a dynamic. You can look at the Euro 2, for example, a little bit different of a look, but you can see, look how it's kind of trending too. Interesting. Let's see. OZ, 12Z, take a look at that. Pressing a little bit more too. Pressing a little bit more on our storm here. So Euro is a little bit different with the overall upper level look, and this would be more of a front end thump to, it would be a front end thump, and then, look at that ice potential there. But don't look too much into the P-type maps right now. I'm telling you, there is a ton of model noise out there right now. A ton of model noise. So don't get too caught up on it. See here, I'll show you the P-type map for this too. You can see that GFS obviously shows a big snowstorm for a lot of people. That would be obviously a massive snowstorm. But that's the discrepancy. Discrepancy. Jesus. We got to work on our English. Sorry, I'm not an English major. between guidance. And again, you can see Euro AI kind of showing similar. It's a little bit different. Sorry, it smooths it out a little bit. So I'll be curious. We can see there 18Z doing what the GFS did as well. Seeing that press a little bit more on it. See it? A little bit further southeast. Press that TPV down. And that's ultimately, I'm telling you, guidance has trended to press this more and more, as we've seen throughout, even dating back into January. So I'd be surprised I'm having a rough time seeing this be able to cut so much. So there's the idea, and you can see again, then there's that 20th period. Look at that 20th to 21st. That's another dynamic look. And once we start talking about, I'm telling you, this is the disruption in the flow here, associated with what I was talking about with that Japan teleconnection here, this period here, and this is where we start looking at for a dynamic storm potential. Let's see, I don't know what the GFS did here, but oh yeah, there you go. That is dynamic to say the least. Look how quickly too. That would be massive. You see how quickly you're amplifying your system as well? That would be a massive snowstorm. And then boom, just waves, wave after wave after wave still. I mean, it's just an active. We're not even in the most favorable MJO phase. We start moving into MJO 8 in like a week, I think. Around then. We're in, I think, MJO phase 7 right now, 6 or 7. We're going to move into 8, 1, and 2. That is the most favorable. So we're not done yet. Late February into early March, the periods are going to continue. At least opportunities. There's no guarantee we convert on the setups. You know, maybe one cuts, maybe one slides to the south. There's going to be continuous opportunities here, you know, for big snowstorms. So, or at least snow. I'm not guaranteed a big snowstorm, but oh Lord, I didn't know 700 did bad. Holy crap! Yeah. Wow. Fun stuff. Is winter back on now that we're seeing fantasy snowstorms? Is it back on? Every time the models aren't showing it when we cancel it, and then when the models do show it, the models are wrong. So it can't be one or the other. It has to be. It just yeah. Let's see. Let me take a look at the euro. I mean, it's a dynamic system this weekend. I'm telling you, it's messy. We start pressing. I'm telling you, we start pressing on this thing. We orient the PV a little bit further southeast too, like we're seeing on the GFS do. We saw the Euro AI do as well. We see the Euro do it at OZ as well. We keep trending that way. What's going to happen is you're not going to allow all this to start amplifying upstream so early on. You're not going to be able to, you're going to have to force consolidation further south as well. A more consolidated system is going to allow for a more organized front end thump at a minimum, at least, too. All right, see how this plays out. And what you do here with such a big storm is you're going to lock in cold air. So that's another thing. That's what gets me excited is, look at this. You're locking in cold air. So now you drop in a dynamic system and you got cold air pressing. Honestly, I mean, it'd be really, not only not cut, it'd be really hard to really get something into interior New England with this, with that kind of setup. If you're going to press, you're going to set up a dynamic storm that sets up as like a confluence. And the ridging you would see set in place too. So you still have your eastern, so you still have your Atlantic ridging in place. 50-50, blocking to the north. Atlantic ridging. I mean, that's one of the more classic long-range setups we've seen all year. I mean, these two back-to-back. 16th and 20th are two of the most classic long-range setups I've seen, you know, all year long. Whether or not it verifies, we'll see. But yeah, Euro. See what happens here. See how look at it. Tries to amplify, and then look what happens. Slides out. It can't. It's too strong. The block is too strong in place. Look at that. This is too strong of a block. So it looks like we now have another long range threat. Mid-Atlantic. Wouldn't even, I mean, I wouldn't even rule out some, just based on how we've, just based on, I don't want to hold on to too much of the past winter, but man. Do I dare look at the P-type? Let me look at 700 first. Oh, 700, oh, Lord. Oh, no, don't do that. This consolidates so early on. Probably Euro over amplifying, having some fun over amplifying early on, but yeah, that's a gorgeous. Listen, like I'm saying here, 500 millibar. Anytime we're going to be able to wrap 500 millibar in this pattern, you're going to get a pretty dynamic. Just in general, you get a dynamic, but get a dynamic storm potential. Look at that. That double closed off. That's 2 double closed off 500. That's impressive. At least double closed off. 1, 2. Is that 3? Gosh, Lord. Oh, why are you cutting it off? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Way to ruin the fun here. Surface. Look at that. Sorry, it's a long range model phone. Don't mind me. 700. 700 is not a problem. 500. Oh. Oh. Oof. And by the way, too, another thing to remember is remember storms always too. Again, this is a long range, fun run, so it's not really, I don't mind breaking this down on stream here. I wouldn't do it on X because people lose their minds and stuff gets taken out of context, so it's harder. On here, it's very easy to articulate my thoughts. So sometimes I struggle, but I'm pretty good at articulating my thoughts. So remember always too, the strongest point of a storm is not when it's double closed off here. It's during this point. It's the intensifying period. So that's why when you saw like the rain kind of up here, it's not necessarily like a complete lack of cold air. It's just this is when the most strengthening happened. So you're no longer like wrapping cold air as much into the system, and why again? Home slides out. I don't think anybody would complain about that though. Let's see, how does this get more? Yeah, that's obviously some gorgeous long range runs there. The Canadian too for this weekend. But the Canadian, that is interesting. Same thing too on the Canadian. Look, beautiful. Look at this is gorgeous. Look what we're doing here this weekend. Continuing to press this further south and further east. The further south and east this goes, the more This forces this to unable. It has to delay amplification later. Sets up a better orientation for the northeast. What is this P-type map? I bet it's still interior, but yeah, look at that. Look at that. You keep doing that, you're really going to unlock potential for this weekend. Great run-to-run change there on the Canadian. At a minimum, it'd be your front-end thump. It would be a front-end thump at a minimum. I'm telling you, like, here's the thing. Let's go to 500 height. Let's look at this verbatim. You're telling me, so here's your PV lobe. You're high out here. Here's your PV lobe. 50-50 low setup as well. 50-50. Now, again, very high, tall height lines here off the Atlantic and pressing just a little bit too far west. It really depends on how well organized the upper level energy. So here's two things. Here's why this weekend is still very interesting, in my opinion, for big storm potential. And it could really sneak up on. It could really sneak up on some people. I'm telling you, this is messy too. This is that range where models too like take the upper level energy and like over amplify it and take it off too early, and we've been seeing it all winter long. I'm not denying that whatsoever. I'm late to the party. Have you already covered the back-to-back? I just did. I just did run. I mean, I'm kind of talking about this weekend right now. So, back to back. I don't know about that. It will show the one big one down the line, but I'm talking about this weekend right now. So, I mean, you do have your Western Ridge in place too. You do have this in place here. Oh no, don't be sorry. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. You can stick with me here while I break down this weekend. We're about to look at the ensembles, so that's where the fun really starts. But again, 50-50 low TPV pressing down. Remember, this is not ingrained in the system, so this is not amplifying completely 100% yet. So this isn't going to allow for a clean stream interaction here. You've seen some models do that. We're probably not going to be able to do that. Some clean phase that right away. If we were, then this is front end thump at most. But it doesn't. We're not going to quite see that. It's going to be a messy stream interaction here. Negative NAO in place, 50-50, TPV low. I mean, it is going to be. It's not. Listen, it would make sense if it were. Just I mean, again, the orientation of the ridging here, the Atlantic ridge, but it's not going to be a clean phase here. And this, you see how instead of just negative and going riding up right away, you see how that gets delayed. See how that PV lobe doesn't get ingrained into the system until later. Especially with what we've seen, if we continue the trend like we did today, where we press more and more southeast with our PV lobe, a whole opportunity, and we're talking big storm potential then. We are talking big storm potential, and it would be for Northeast and New England. And then maybe at the most northern mid-Atlantic front end thump. It could be northern mid-Atlantic front end thump here. It's certainly possible. And then after that, we watch another one. And the Canadian's going to highlight that as well. Seems like all storms highlighting that. And again, you know what that reminds me of? What was the system? It's not the same. March. This model run, March 2018, March 7th, I think. March 7th, 2018, where I remember that one. Are you going to go back to the storm tomorrow? Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. If more questions you got for tomorrow, absolutely, yeah. Keep throwing it. If you have questions, listen. Yeah, I'm kind of just like still, well, especially once I get through the ensembles here, breaking it down. Whatever questions you got for tomorrow, we're absolutely going to break down. So, whatever you want, whatever you guys advocate. Listen, I mean, I love doing these streams and I love interacting with y'all. So whatever questions you got, I'm clearly have not gotten big enough here to dictate the whole flow. I am not too big for my britches yet, not even close. So hopefully we can get there so I can have a massive ego and miss your comments. No, I'm just kidding. But really, I just, whatever questions you got, please, Chrissy, for tomorrow, throw them in. If I don't answer it right away, I will get to it in a second. So, but sorry, what I was gonna say is it reminds me of a March 2018 one where you had like a lobe from the previous storm, like drop in. You had a lobe from the previous storm drop in, amplified with the upper level energy to the south, and that's kind of what it's not the same, but it just kind of reminded me of that a little bit in terms of a general setup. And obviously, you don't amplify the upper level low here. You don't, not enough stream separation, but that's what that one kind of reminded me of. Honestly, like looking at this firsthand, like this long range, I wouldn't favor it. I would favor like here, just first look down the line there. But it's like 9 days out, so we're plenty far away from that. All right. Before we look at the ensembles, what time does the snow start tomorrow? For Jersey, the focus of the biggest timing is tomorrow night, and that's when the heaviest will hit is tomorrow evening. The snow starts though in the PM for pretty much everybody in the Mid Atlantic, besides the western fringe areas in the mountains. It's going to start in the afternoon to evening. So rush hour could be pretty messy for a lot of people. New York City rush hour should be fine. Philly rush hour could be messy. Again, also depends on the orientation. You see, HRs, not not the model, not loving the 04Z 18-hour out HRR, but this would be highlighting more southern, where you would see best set up here, and then this would be where 700 would set up a little bit further to the south than depicted. That's what that would be. Was that? I don't know. I don't know what the OZ showed, but I mean, even there though, it kind of shows. Yeah, that would kind of be what would happen, and it wouldn't be as heavy, the banding to the north as well. So yeah, so that's timing, and then it's out. The beginning of the next storm could actually linger. That's something. So could still snow on the backside Wednesday as well. We'll keep an eye on that. Certainly possible. Ugh, I'm not going to long range. I'm not going to long range name that one. So yeah, so that Chris is tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon to evening is the time frame for first flakes in Central Jersey. All right, let's take a look here. Jeffs. What about front end thump still here on the Jeffs here? Pretty much almost every model showing a front end thump for Southern New England. with the focus of northern New England getting the most snow. And here's the weekend. Look at that. Oh boy. Appreciate it. Good, keep up the good work. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for continuing to ride out the stream with me. Fun times ahead here. Active winter, so we got a lot to busy, and this Jeff's pretty much sums up my thoughts about this weekend. I'll zoom in even a little bit more for y'all, and we can slide down. I mean, look at these members here. I mean, there are a ton of hits here, and like I said, if it hits, they're gonna be big ones. They're gonna be very big ones, and even the ones that don't, they're front end thumps, especially just north of New York City too. I mean, the Jeffs. I mean, even have some Mid Atlantic runs here. This is what I've been saying. If you've noticed the ensemble members, they've been showing some very big hits, and now, honestly, the GFS lines up it's for those like is the operational off with is the operational different from the ensembles? No, it lines up actually pretty close. Like this is like showing a significant snowstorm across the Northeast. Maybe some windshield wiper we're seeing over the past couple days here, possibly. Let's take a look at. Oh, well, we can look at down the line too. Oh yeah, definitely some biggies down here. Can't believe Mid-Atlantic is actually in play for the weekend. I don't know about I don't know necessarily quite in play yet, but not out of play for sure, in my opinion. Just if you really keep pressing down with that TPV like we saw today on guidance, you would certainly make things interesting, at least for northern Mid-Atlantic. But yeah, you can see GFS picking up on the long range, that 20th to 21st as well, after what it has been showing the past 24 hours of runs. I mean that's the thing. You gotta. That's why I said I put that post out last night. I said I'll show you. I'll pull it up. You said I'm done. You guys know how much of a proponent I've NYC in play this week. Ugh. At least for front end thump. I will say yes this weekend. New York City is in play for front end thump. I will say at least in play for now. Now I'm going to try to. I'm telling you, I'm sticking to the basics of the setup. It's the basics of the setup. Oh, sorry, shameless plug. If you're on YouTube, like if you want to support me, hit that like. It helps tremendously. If you don't mind. And if you're new here on YouTube, we keep doing this all winter long, so subscribe if you don't mind as well. If you're an X, just appreciate you being there. So let me go to. Again, we're not changing the format for we continue to multi-stream on X and YouTube. So doesn't matter where you are. I'll read your stuff. Whatever doesn't matter. All right, let me get to here. Not worth what for this weekend? Or I don't know. Sorry. Here's what I'm trying to say here. There is you gotta get away from the noise itself and just look at it in the models. Again, like I said, I've been as how do we support you on X more than just following and sharing your posts? You don't have to. I don't ask of that whatsoever on X. I don't make any money for posting anything on X, and I don't plan on it being able to do that. They make you need like a certain amount of verified followers, but even then, I'm not just gonna post to get money and get engagement on there and get analysis. Um, I'm getting pretty close to getting monetized here on YouTube soon, or at least being able to apply for it. But no, just interacting and the message and showing your support to me is more important than you feel like you got to pay or do something like anything like that. Um, that means more to me. The fact that I have so many people that that send so many nice messages, and I try to stay drama free on X for a reason. Uh, I don't comment on a lot of people's other stuff. I just try to stay out of it. There's a reason you don't see me in block fests on X all the time. Just try to stick to the analysis and give you guys my thoughts the best I can. Uh, I love a lot of other stuff, but I keep it strictly weather here on reason for a reason. So yeah. So thank you for your support, Mike, or Ron Paul, whatever your name, whatever your name. I'll start calling you Mike now. Thank you for your support. It means a lot. So like I said, I'm gonna try to clear through the noise here and the BS. This is the setup. Pressing PV to the north, 50-50 low, negative NAO to the north. Not super broad, but a broader area of upper level energy. Atlantic Ridge. What's been what we've been doing all winter long? A lot of times estimating the press of the TPV here. That was last night's OZ. Look now where we are. Oh. Run it back here. Let me run it back. Now look how we're pressing. Look at the orientation now. Remember OZ last night, even just 06E last night, and OZ tonight. Now we're pressing. And I'm telling you, this dynamic of an upper level orientation here, and remember what your ridging does, it continues to get overrun in moisture. So it continues to get moisture out ahead of the main upper level system. So it's going to be tricky here to fully amplify this thing and really be able to consolidate an upper level low completely. Like I said, I think we would lean, I don't know if it would be this messy. I'd maybe lean towards a little bit more organization further south of an upper level low, potentially with such a dynamic system. But remember, it'd be another overrunning system. But think about the snow. We're talking about 4 to 8 inches or so tomorrow, and this is the upper level look. that's the upper level look. It did not obviously take a lot. Very thermodynamically driven. And now take a look at the upper level. Let me get across here for this weekend. This is a significant storm potential. Now again, I'm still not going to lean so far away. I would still lean interior places for now. I'm not going to, I'm not a fan of guidance, but I'm not going to completely dismiss it. So is one thing. It's another thing to actually see dots verified, but I would still favor this area here. So I'm not willing to go further south than that. So I'm going to favor northeast. I'm going to favor the upper northeast still. Not ready to get Philly and northern mid-Atlantic, Delmarva. Not ready to go quite that far yet to say they're like very much in play to see significant snow this weekend. But the look is certainly there. And then again, what you do is, depending on, again, this will be fun too, because I'm telling you, models will go back and forth. And it comes to this here. I mean, to me, this is, it depends on how you would amplify it, but I don't see that. I'm having a tough time struggling to see how we're going to amplify that to be an inland runner at a minimum. Anything that might even be that could even end up being like a mid-Atlantic, the 20th. I would go as far to say that this might be the favored region, but we'll see. I don't want to get too far ahead. And then we still have Thursday. We still have Thursday front and thumb potential here, and even some overrunning left behind. You got to keep an eye Wednesday to Wednesday night in this area here. Got to keep an eye from what's left from the previous storm to start amplifying out ahead. That wouldn't shock me there. Really unique setup here where back-to-back comes on, and then you start seeing that front end thump start organizing more in southern New England and Hudson Valley and points north. But you can see there even now it's just not even raining. It's basically sleet freezing rain on the backside for many people across all of southern New England. It's the Euro with that. Same thing. Not even really raining. Just sleet, freezing rain, snow, sleet, freezing rain for much of the Northeast. For much of the upper Northeast, and then New York City maybe gets a little bit of snow in the beginning, and then switches to ice, and then switches to rain for Thursday, Friday. And look at that. I mean, Euro's starting to pick up on it. It's getting closer. You see the difference, though. There's the Euro, and then there's the GFS, and then there's the Canadian. You can see the Canadian's like an in-between right now, these two. Canadians are really good middle ground. They're really good middle ground, actually, right now. Because the Euro's got this lobe like fully dropped in to help kind of amplify this thing, early amplified. So I would actually lean Canadian GFS. I would actually, not because it's more favorable. A lot of people like to, throw that out there all the time. It just makes more, based on how we've gone this winter, it just makes more sense. Based on what we've done with set, and just based on the setup alone, forget what we've done this past winter, just based on the setup alone, something more, a middle ground between the Canadian and the GFS makes a little bit more sense than the Euro. I wonder what the Canadian ensembles look like for this. Look at that too. Further east, you get to the Euro ensembles. Look at that. Look at that. Further south and east with that TPV. How does that compare to the regular Euro? Regular Euro is almost more amplified. It just might be the spread. I think the Euro is just indicating the spread we have. Let's see. Let's take a look at these panels here. Struggling to load out. Euro's not as big on the front end thumb potential for Thursday, but it shows it, but not as big as GFS and Canadian are. RGM doesn't matter. And this weekend, Euro's got some. Definitely has these front end thump. It's 26 to 50, 1 through 25. It's not loaded out yet, though. It's not loaded out. All right, let's peep these Canadian ensembles. Yeah. It's got the long range one too. Ensemble means tonight probably gonna be pretty stupid. I think they're gonna be pretty high again. Even after that, even though it's a massive, it's like a 10 to like 20-inch mean is still across New York City to New England. They're still absurd even after the weekend storm. Yeah. A little messy, but it's showing it. Pretty big spread on the Jets, on the Canadian ensembles. Eps up yet. It's getting there. Oh boy. Look at the spread on the Eps. There's some members there for sure. There's definitely some members. They're loading out, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish. First, 26 through 50. Yeah. Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6. Some of these are more a lot of front end thumps here. Let it load out. Definitely some spread though. There's a lot of spread. A lot of spread. When you have a lot of spread, that means models aren't done changing. I hate to break it to you. Or good news, depending on where you live. If you live in Canada, maybe you don't want to hear that. If you live in Hudson Valley, then maybe you love to hear that. I don't know. Tried to pick somewhere more obscure. Just take a peek though. Yep, look at that. TPV shifting south and east on all the guidance. If we keep doing that, it's about to get very, very interesting for this weekend. And this is a storm that would have this would it would definitely be a storm with double-digit potential for sure. I wouldn't guarantee it, but it would definitely have the potential. Again, where you might ask? Where I'd favor for now. And I'll give the higher margin for error for the interior right now. But at a minimum, front end thump potential here for southern New England for sure. And then, oh boy, look at that. Lord have mercy. Oof. Oof. Oh my God. That is a little progressive, honestly. Like I'd say, that's a bit stronger though with the Atlantic region. But yeah, that right there is a man. We got a live tweet that bad boy. That's definitely worth a live tweet right there. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. Again, we got snowstorm tomorrow. We have We got snow, mixed storm, whatever. Maybe another slot fest on Thursday, Friday, and then we have another storm this weekend, and then probably another one in the 20th that we'll be tracking as well. Very glad. I almost debated not streaming, but I decided, you know what? There's a storm tomorrow, even though southern New England, even though I'm not getting hit, I'm glad other places are at least getting some. Especially because I'm in a really good spot for the rest of the pattern too. So to get good snow, so we gotta get our Mid Atlantic folks involved here in February. So this is your February treat here. So making sure you're all set going forward. When will models? When will there be more models for tomorrow? Like, do you mean when the models are coming out, or sorry, I don't understand your question, Chris C. Help me out a little bit, Chris, and I can answer your question. What time are they coming out? So, '06Z guidance, the NAM will come out in about a couple hours. The GFS will come out just before 5 a.m. and the European will come out around 6 a.m. And then just basically add on 6 hours to that, and that's when the 12Z guidance will be coming out. So around 12:15, the Euro will come out tomorrow around 10:45. The GFS will come out at AM and PM, so they run continuously in cycles. So that's when guidance that's when guidance comes out. Canadian will come out 15 minutes after the GFS always, and the high res Canadian will um, run usually around 4 and 10, uh, 4 and 10 a.m. and p.m. And tomorrow also I likely think tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow we'll be live. Might be live with Gerald again, so be on the lookout for that. As long as he's all systems go for there, I will likely be on stream as well, and we'll be breaking that down. So we'll be talking about the snowstorm and that will be at that point ongoing. I'm sure he'll have radar up and we'll be talking about how it's breaking down. So kind of live tracking the storm tomorrow and breaking down the storms for the rest going forward. Hopefully, we can get a little bit clearer idea tomorrow for this weekend. So there's certainly big potential. I mean, just face value in that setup. Again, would love to sink this a little bit further, but again, you keep pressing this further south and east, that will do that for you basically. Massive negative NAO, 50-50 block, Atlantic ridging, not a strong western ridge, but a western ridge present. So there's a lot of, and Alaska ridge. So you got a lot of things working for you, just based off the face value of this setup, in my opinion. A lot of different things working for you here. I mean, that's a gorgeous look on the Jeffs here. Got a live tweet. You get more thoughts out. You get to see me live tweet more again. Sorry for whistling. I still got Kendrick K. Dot stuck in my head. Chef Curry, GFS. Yes, we looked at GFS in Euro. Obviously, we looked at that. Where we all still from in here? Who's still? Let me know. Where we from here on X on YouTube? Where we all watching? Where we all watching from right now? We still got our Point Pleasant. We still got our New York City, Long Island. We got any New England folks in here watching right now? Where we at? Oh, guys, as I live tweet here. Guidance from no New England people in here right now, or we just shy. It's okay. Just enjoying the live tweet. It's fine. Model noise going right now, like we talked about. Just have to dismiss some of the model noise. Oh boy, let's test the spelling. What, nobody? You got no New England, no Long Island. I got no pull. Sorry, we're just enjoying the live tweet. That's fine. Usually people like to show where they're coming from. Represent. Proud member of Grafton, Massachusetts. So that's where I reside, at least. Got the Worcester County folks in here. Maybe not. Just some of the mild noise occurring in face value is definitely potential. Significant snowstorm and the ensembles as well. Okay, there we go. All right. Again, 500 millibar height sometimes can be deceiving, but my friends, that's a pretty classic look, in my opinion, for there to be a significant snowstorm in the Northeast. (50-50) Atlantic ridging, negative NAO, pressing, TPV. It's a very solid look. I mean, slightly tilted positive too. Slightly tilted positive trough over the almost neutral trough. Ohio Valley neutral trough, slightly positive, is oftentimes what we're always looking for here. Upper level energy, getting out ahead, near neutral. That's freaking negative. Raw neutral. There we go. That eastern Ohio Valley kind of neutral trough is what we oftentimes look for. Again, a little simple breakdown. Sometimes we skip over some of this stuff. Positive tilted trough. So fast flow, progressive flow. A lot of what we've dealt with this winter. Neutral tilted trough. Right? Trough axis tilted neutral. It's not tilted positive, but neutral. And a negatively tilted trough, meaning we're now backing the flow. The trough axis is oriented this way. We're backing the flow now into the system. Oftentimes, our most dynamic systems are associated with a negatively tilted trough. Yes, I will be very likely doing a snow map for tomorrow's storm lake. I'll probably put that out later. I could do it tomorrow, but probably later tonight. Probably after stream. I got to take a break though, off stream first. So yeah, so that's negatively tilted. Neutral. Positive. All right, positive flow continues to keep going. Oftentimes feeds on southwest flow events. Negative, oftentimes associated with your big snowstorms. Neutral is just neutral, in between. Look at that look there. Oh, mom. certainly intriguing. Certainly intriguing. The Canadian ensembles. Look at that. A little bit sharper, but not too far off. Euro, a little bit more sharper, further north. That's the difference. That keeps trending further southeast. Big time potential. Again, 50-50 setup here. Atlantic Ridge. Negative NAO. If this does turn into an all-out northeast snowstorm, the tea leaves were on the writing was on the wall. The tea leaves were there. That's all I'll say going forward with this. Fine. All right, let's peep these panels now. No, stop doing that. Jeez, I don't. Come on. All right. Oh. Damn. Definitely some big hits. So there's some spread. There's a good amount of spread. Look at that. 26 through 52. Showing them. There's definitely some big hits. Look here. Those are mean. 12Z. You can see it. There's OZ. Take a look at the Jeffs. Out there. I mean, that's a look at that look from the Jeffs. That's the storm. That's the storm right there. That's for this weekend. It's already like a 6 to 8 inch mean. Look at that. Increasing further south too. There's a Canadian. But that shift too from 12Z. Look at that. So model guide's going in the right direction, but we'll see how it plays out. At face value, this is certainly an intriguing setup, and it has been, like I've talked about. Again, it's associated with disruption in the flow from the Japan teleconnection. Been talking about now for almost a week. I think like 6-7 days now. I've been talking about this. So it's good to see. We'll verify. There'd be a strong storm system, but it'd be nicer if it verified as a snowstorm for more places, especially the southern New England, New York City. Sure, why not New York City? Sure, you can have it. Oprah. Everybody gets a snowstorm. Panels. What we got here cooking down the line? Oh, mama. Oh. those are some those are some heavy freaking hitters, man, down the line. Oh, those those are freaking. I mean, those are not lacking. Um, I mean, man, oh, this ensemble mean is about to be crazy tonight. I got a feeling. There are some freaking Goliath Goliath runs in there, man. There are some freaking monsters. There are some freaking monsters. I mean, that is wow. Wow. What's the mean? What's the mean for this? So this is 198, right? 198 basically to 270. It's a 3-day mean. What's this might be absurd. I mean, that's 270 hours out. Look at that storm signal. That's a freaking that's a 4 or 5 inch mean. That's it's like 11 days out, and that's a storm. That's an actual storm signal too. That is crazy. Hey now, come on. Those are some massive freaking numbers, though. Yep. Back to it. Back to some of those crazy freaking ensemble runs again. Didn't take long. Did not take long. Just like that. Look at that. Jeff's is a 10 to 20 inches from New York City north, basically. And 8 plus. That's a lot of that's tomorrow. So will kind of die down for the Mid Atlantic a little bit. But man, look at that. Oh, look at the wide spread. That's what's incredible. Look how widespread it is. Look how widespread 12 to 18 throughout this whole. That's what's impressive. Let me go to East. That's extremely impressive. Look at that. I mean, I got to zoom out all the way. United States. That's incredible. Look at that. Almost. Look at. Are we going to do the southern snow again? We're going to do that again. Florida is the only state not showing snow on this ensemble mean. Every other state has snow, but Florida. 47 of the 48, lower 48 is showing. That's impressive. How widespread too. That is very impressive. What was that showing up? That's for that time frame. That 19 to 20th. Man. Man, oh man. I think people got pretty. I mean, actually, I myself just kind of got. Once the wear off kind of happens, you just it's fine. You don't really need to post. Not really necessary to post as crazy as they are. How much you need to post. Unless it was like 36, then that would be crazy ensemble me, but impressive. How widespread. It's a lot of pink on that map. It's a lot of pink. But man, there are some heavy freaking hitters. Remember, those are 6-hour intervals too on this. So these are like 6-hour intervals. I mean, that's like some of these are crazy. Look at some of these runs here. I mean, just copious amounts of snow there. If we get the one big one, I got nothing. I'm already like semi-satisfied. Like I more so based on the fact that like again non-weather non-weather analysis, more so personal. I always like to clarify in today's day and age with social media and tone and stuff being more challenging. You need a class in that. Sarcasm, social media, and tone. I feel like we need that. It's not sarcastic, but you get my point. What I'm saying is, personally, I'm semi-satisfied with how we've gone this year, and it's kind of again banking on the fact that we'll have an opportunity to see a big one potentially here through February, March. Usually see at least one, especially in as active a pattern as this. It'd be pretty hard for us at least not to get one blockbuster in Southern New England. It'd be pretty difficult. If it does, it does. Then whatever, move on. But certainly, I've been kind of semi-satisfied with how some of these events have gone. Some kind of late night snow vibes, just kind of enjoying it. And there's been some fun some fun storms so far this winter, in my opinion. So a lot of storms too. You have a good amount of smaller storms that have 1 inch per hour rates, too. So at least some heavy snow to kind of go along with these, not just only light snow. Even though the totals might end up, heavy snow and short span. I'll always take that over light snow. Actually, I'll take snow whenever, but heavier snow in a shorter time frame is always better. For me, I would take a 3-foot storm over. I would take a 3-foot storm over two 15-inch storms personally. I'll take the 1 3-footer over 2 15-inch storms. Because I had that 36-inch storm. I don't know. Some people have different takes on that, but 36 is historic. Man, oof. But yeah, but obviously a little bit more guidance support for the 20th. 20th or 21st, like we highlighted. We talked about it yesterday. I think so. On X at least. If not, we talked about it now. So there you go. All right. Taking a peek. Don't mind me. Yeah, those Euro ensembles for the 20th were absurd. This in no way is a forecast, whatever. Don't mind me just admiring model runs. This is it's just the thought of seeing that much snow in that much time. This is basically watching. It's like watching a nonfiction movie, basically. Just you enjoy. It's not a true story. It's based off a true story, but just enjoy the movie. That's it. It's like at 17 too. Look at that one. It's the intervals. That's 6, 12, 30. I mean, just oof. Oof. There's some of the crazier freaking. Like I said, there's definitely some bigger storm potential down the line here starting this weekend. That's when the much more significant snowstorm potential will take place. Cool. I'll take 40. One order of 40, please. I wouldn't mind 30 to 36 inches of snow. I'd be quite all right with that. How many inches of snow in that run, though? It's with this weekend, too. Look at that. That gives you the weekend storm. I wonder that. Let's take a look at that. Do the ones that hit this weekend hit also with the one after? So 32 shows it. Not in massive. All right, let me go to the ones that hit this weekend or the 20th. Front end, front on one. All right, 26. Did you show it? Yep, I'll show it on 26. Oh, 27. Front end thumb. 28. Take a peek. I don't think it showed. 28. Show it. Let's take a look. 1 through 25. Number 2. Yeah, it does show it on 2. Let's see. 21. Does it show it on 21? Close. That kind of. More interior, but let's see. 23. Yep. I was on 23. So maybe. Is there something there maybe that would favor a bigger storm potential if 17, let's see. Front end thump. Maybe something to that. Maybe something to that. That if we hit this weekend, then maybe we can hit the 20th as well. So, yeah. That is, yeah, those are kind of my longer range. Yeah, again, we've broken, kind of everything down. Again, I'll put out a snow map for tomorrow's system, and then we track Thursday, Friday, and then we track this weekend as well. So we're on tap here. Hopefully we can. This could be a big week for a lot of people. This could be the biggest week of the winter maybe for some. So we'll see kind of how it shapes up, or maybe the biggest like 10-day stretch, whatever. But yeah, that's not saying a crazy amount, but could stack up. Could stack up for some people. So let's see how it plays out. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, and look for me to go live with at least Gerald tomorrow night, and maybe we'll go live personally tomorrow night as well. So until then, peace, everybody.